current government has remained in office for 3 years now. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has been diverted by the inter-party wrangling within the Nepal Communist Party. The Oli-led government that had been boasting of prosperity and development since the beginning of its tenure has invited controversies and instability in the country instead of exhibiting good performance. Good morning, I am Bipashna Tamang and these are the headlines of the hour. The KP Sharma Oli-led government completes its tenure of 3 years. Development and prosperity limited to slogans. Arbitrary transfer of secretaries destabilizes administrative mechanism. 8 secretaries changed at the Health Ministry alone in the past 3 years. Fear of crackdown in Myanmar as military deploys armored vehicles on the streets of several cities. Reports of internet outrage. And Arsenal takes all 3 points as Aubameyang's hat-trick guides the Gunners to a convincing victory over Leeds at Emirates Stadium. The formation of the KP Sharma Oli-led government marked its 3 years yesterday. The Prime Minister, after falling in minority within the party and failing to meet people's expectations, has further pushed the country towards uncertainty by dissolving the House of Representatives on 20th of December. The Oli-led government that had been boasting of prosperity and development since the beginning of its tenure from past 3 years has invited controversies and instability in the country instead of performance. The government was embroiled in one controversy after another during this period, including the Guti Bill, handing over the lease of the land of Nepal Trust to Yeti Groups, audio tape revealing of the bargaining of commission and printing press and procurement of health materials. The government's image further dented with the decision to withdraw the treatment of coronavirus-infected people at free of cost, contrary to the constitutional provision and the Supreme Court's order. Premier Oli, meanwhile, could not even win the confidence of the parties of his own government, compelling them to withdraw support from the government. Premier Oli dissolved their lower house after failing to bring an ordinance on party split and has dragged the country into a constitutional deadlock due to vested interest. The incumbent government was formed with the slogan of prosperity 3 years ago. However, almost all the slogans have been a far cry as many ambitious projects have been limited to only documents. However, some of the positive aspects of the incumbent government are issuing the political and administrative map, incorporating Lipu Lake Limpiadhura and giving continuation to the economic activities and preventing it from declining. However, analysts say the government has missed some good prospects to address public grievances, limiting itself on abusive rhetoric, denting its popularity. With the recent dissolution of the lower house, as experts say, Prime Minister Oli has driven the country into further uncertainty and possible political chaos. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and his supporters argue that the House of Representatives was dissolved due to the attempt to destabilize the government. However, bureaucracy, which is considered as permanent government, has been destabilized by the Prime Minister himself by transferring secretaries in less than 4 months. This has gravely impacted the government's performance. We have more in this report. Secretary Gopinath Mainali was transferred to the Education Ministry in the 3rd week of September last year. The government on Thursday decided to transfer him for the 6th time in less than 5 months to the Public Procurement Monitoring Office. Secretary Mainali was transferred when he was in the Election Commission for refusing to procure expensive vehicles. Secretary Mainali was transferred this time around for refusing to agree on the decision made by Education Minister Krishna Gopal Shrestha. There are many examples of such transfers which have been carried out within 4 months of appointment. The government has transferred 8 secretaries in the Health Ministry alone in past 3 years. Such a trend of changing secretaries without considering the organizational structure of concerned ministries and departments has destabilized the entire bureaucracy. The government has not revealed the recent decision to transfer more than a dozen secretaries. Experts have opined such rapid transfer of secretaries has had an impact in performance and has made the entire bureaucracy unsecured. Moreover, the decision taken by the caretaker government after the announcement of the elections is considered even more unusual. The Pushpakamal Dahal Madhav Kumar Nepal faction of the Nepal Communist Party has announced a new phase of protest programs against the dissolution of the House of Representatives. Organizing a press meet yesterday afternoon, the faction announced its fourth phase of agitation program starting from Wednesday until 27th of this month. According to the programs announced, the faction will hold demonstrations and rallies at various levels in different parts of the country, including Kathmandu. Apart from the resolution of the lower house, the faction has also made corruption, inflation and violence against women as other agendas of the protest. The faction will also protest by making a human chain around Tudikil for an hour on Thursday. The Dahal Nepal faction has been calling the resolution of the lower house as an autocratic and unconstitutional move. The faction had concluded its third phase of protest programs on 10th of February. The Election Commission held discussions with the political parties yesterday regarding the code of conduct for the elections announced for April and May this year. The Election Commission called representatives of both the factions of the Nepal Communist Party, Nepali Congress and Janata Samajwadi Party, among other political parties, to dwell on the code of conduct. Before taking suggestions from the political parties, the Commission had submitted its draft on the issue. During the meeting, the Dahal Nepal faction of the Nepal Communist Party urged the Election Commission not to move ahead with the election process as the writ filed against the dissolution of the House of Representatives is still under consideration at the Supreme Court. The faction expressed its dissatisfaction over holding discussions on the drafted code of conduct without finalizing the legitimacy of the Nepal Communist Party. Members of the Dahal Nepal faction, Lilamani Pokhrel, walked out of the Election Commission after presenting the party's stand. The commission has not yet made the election schedule public despite the government's announcement made on 28th of December to hold the midterm elections on 30th of April and 10th of May. The Election Commission, meanwhile, is preparing to issue the Code of Conduct along with other election programs based on the suggestions given by the political parties. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the local residents in Arghakhachi what are the problems faced by the Judicial Committee at the local level while facilitating cases. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
न्याय समितिका संयोजकहरू कानुनको विद्यार्थी नभएको न्यायिक समितिका सदस्यहरूलाई पनि क्या यो कानुनी समस्या रहेको हुँदा अलिकति समस्या छ।
धेरै जसो त श्रीमानबाट पीडित भएको हुनुहुन्छ अनि त्यसपछि ससुराबाट पनि पीडित भएको हुनुहुन्छ। त्यो छलफललाई उहाँहरुको घर गएर मिल्नुहुन्छ कि भनेर अनि वार्डमा ल्याएर मिल्नुहुन्छ कि भनेर छलफल गराउँछन्।
पालिका स्तरमा हामीले चाहिँ इजलासको व्यवस्थापन राम्रो गर्न सकिरहेका छैनौं। नियमित रूपमा कर्मचारीको व्यवस्थापन त्यहाँ भइरहेको पनि देखिदैन।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: why is the government transferring secretaries every 4 months? The options: option A being an obstruction in vested interest, option B failure to perform, and option C politics and bureaucracy. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time now for our special segment Off the Beat.
With increasing demand for bones and furs of endangered species, the poaching of these wild animals has also increased in Nepal. Such illegal activities are thriving in the Churi region and adjoining districts of Bakebardia National Park. Lack of security personnel has been attributed as one of the causes of unhindered poaching of these wild animals. The patrolling of security was increased with frequent reports of poaching. However, the legal activities have continued unabated, especially in the dense part of the forest. Baque National Park this year alone has initiated action against 75 poaching cases. However, there are many other cases which have gone unnoticed from the authority. Meanwhile, in Bardia National Park, the poaching of tigers and rhinos has gone down, but the poaching of other endangered smaller animals have continued unabated. It might sound unbelievable to hear that a large piece of rock can be moved with a single finger. Such a magic-like scene turns into reality in Mangsebung Rural Municipality in Ilam's Mangmalung region, which holds tremendous significance from religious, cultural, tourism and biodiversity aspects. People who arrive at a Mangmalung region cannot help themselves from trying their hands or fingers to move this large piece of stone precariously balanced over another rock. At the same time, stones found in different shapes and sizes in the area also seem to enthrall the visitors who frequent here. Likewise, the picture of various deities, animals and birds carved in the stones have also given added charm to the area, which is also known as the ashram of Guru Jyotinanda, who had waged an anti-violence campaign in ancient times. The mystical Mangmalung area, located at a distance of 34 kilometers from Chapa's Damak, draws a significant number of visitors every year. This is Sarah Chitrakar for our special segment Off the Beat and Kantipur News Desk.
And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.